Greetings again, people. We're back again with another episode of the Vybz Kartel trial. Don't watch my clothes because we look the same way like how we look yesterday. But then warm, so I just put on my clothes. Me no go outside. Anyway, people. Now we've been watching. Everybody been watching the Vybz Kartel trial. Some people live streaming, some people go straight from the source. But we've been following also. There's no verdict yet, hopefully by the
No, but there were a number of comments on our previous video,
Mhm,
and a lot of people were saying the same thing,
mhm,
which was that we didn't mention an eyewitness. Now, I just
mhm,
want to point out that the trial that's happening now is an appeals case regarding the original trial. It is not a re-trial. Yes, in the original case, in the original trial, in 2013 to 2014, because it spanned over 2 months, from November 2013 till March 2014. There was an eyewitness that was one of the lead witnesses that the prosecution brought in. However, that is not one of the parts of the original trial that this appeal case is mentioning. So when we're talking about this appeals case that's happening in 2024,
just appeal case.
it has to be, we have to talk, I mean, we can happily talk about the first trial, but the thing is that whether or not people think that that eyewitness or his testimony should have any bearing on this case doesn't matter, because that's not a part of this case. The point is, the original trial in 2014, the verdict that was given and the trial that verdict was given after, were there enough problems with due process that in fact the verdict of that trial should not be upheld? And there were 3 questions. Number 2 was a 2-parter. It had to do with the method of obtaining the telecommunications information that was used as strong evidence. It had to do with how the allegations regarding potential bribery within the jury was handled, and it had to do with how quickly and how late in the day the jury was allowed to return its verdict in the original trial. Those are the 3 points that are being brought up in this appeals case. The eyewitness, the witness that was used in the first case, is not mentioned in the appeals case. Although I understand why a lot of people are bringing it up, because they feel that either has a lot of bearing on it, or maybe that eyewitness account was faulty, or that there were issues with it. And why is it not being talked about as much? It's not being talked about as much because it is not part of the appeal case, and it is not a part of this trial.
Maybe some people misunderstood and think that this is a retrial.
This is not a retrial.
Not a retrial. It's just
not
a
retrial.
Case.
The verdict that will be reached in this trial is not whether or not these men committed the crime of murder. It is whether or not the trial in 2014 proceeded correctly and without enough problems that verdict should be upheld or overturned because of these specific issues.
Yeah, and listening to the live stream today, shout out to SoFlo and the Brains, because that's where I watched the live stream. And I think there is so many mistake, and the Jamaican jury system, look a bit corrupt. Not a bit. To them, it look a bit corrupt, but we know. I am a Jamaican. I know it's corrupt. But the way it look now in the case, it's like there was a lot of bias. things wasn't right because one juror tried to bribe the pit of jury, and
Allegedly.
Allegedly, and was and kept his seat until the end of the trial, even the decision. So even when they go away with 11 and come back with 10, that
So actually, I think I misspoke a little bit in the last video because they did leave and deliberate and come back quite quickly.
Very quick.
But the first time they came back, it was to let the judge know that they had not reached a unanimous decision. That is to say that everyone on the jury did not agree.
Yeah.
And then they went away for a little bit more, and then they came back later in the evening,
and everyone returned
and had to give a verdict 10-1. So it was never unanimous.
So the pressure that the jury were under to make a decision, I would like to know why.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know if there necessarily was pressure.
A 65-day case.
Yeah.
And one day, you just go away, spend some time in a hotel, and decide and just come back.
It happens. Look at O.J. Simpson. Same thing. Long trial, quick deliberation.
Yeah, but what happened to O.J. Simpson?
He was acquitted.
Exactly. Vybz Kartel is in prison.
What's your point?
O.J. Simpson is out free.
Yeah, but you were talking about whether or not people should be allowed to make that decision that quickly. I'm just saying it's not unheard of.
Yeah.
But should they have returned their verdict so late in the day? I mean, were they themselves trying to hurry through it? We don't know. I mean, there's speculation. Yeah. But the fact that it's one of the 3 points in this appeal means that clearly the lawyers representing the appellants in this case feel that is strong enough of a point to make that something is off about the original trial,
and also the way they get information about prove that he committed this murder. They go about it wrong.
Yeah, that's due process, right? It's the correct way in which things should be done. It's the correct way in which evidence should be obtained, which means that even if evidence is incriminating, if it has been obtained in an incorrect way, not following the law and the rules and due process,
then it shouldn't be valid.
Then it shouldn't be admissible.
Yeah.
And if it is not admissible, then a jury would never be presented to a jury, or the jury would not be allowed to use it as part of their reasoning, as part of the information that they use. Because the thing is, I don't know how much it differs from country to country, but juries, when they deliberate, they're often asked very specific questions regarding all the pieces of evidence. Does this, and then what happens is that then you actually have to take stock for how much does this piece of evidence sway me one way or another? Do I feel that this proves beyond a reasonable doubt? Because here's the thing. When you have a criminal trial, it's to not be able to be sure beyond a reasonable doubt that somebody committed a crime, all you need is another potential suspect that seems just as likely.
Yeah.
Because if somebody else, I'm not saying that's not what happened in this case, I'm just giving an example, but if you have a murder case, right? You're on trial for murder. Yeah. And they say Clive did it. And we're going to prove to you why. And then your lawyer says, actually, Martha might have committed this murder, and gives evidence or enough suggested evidence that the jury is sitting there going, okay, it could have been Clive. There's a lot of evidence, but actually it could have been Martha. That means they can't convict you or they shouldn't convict you because it's not proven beyond a reasonable doubt, because they have a doubt. It could be someone else. Even that is enough to say, I can't beyond reasonable doubt, unless there was evidence to say, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. We use this phrase, it matters. It's not a phrase that we use for no reason, right? You have to be more convinced than having Reasonable doubt. So not doubt just because, well, I like the guy. That's not, he seems nice. That's not reasonable doubt.
Exactly.
Right?
I'm looking at it and I'm like, even if Vybz Kartel commit this crime, the way they go about getting proof can easily set him free.
Yeah, well, that's why I asked you the question yesterday, which is, there's a chance that guilty men and women go free.
Yeah,
but also that means that the system is set up so that we don't break the laws in order to try and enact justice. Because is that justice? The laws are there to protect us all.
Yeah.
And like somebody said to us today, the thing is, under the law, everyone is treated equally, should be treated equally.
So even the police should respect the law.
Yeah, and there's a correct way to go about bringing in evidence. There's a correct way to search someone's home, right? You can't just go into somebody's house and find incriminating evidence and use it to prove their guilt, because the way that you obtained that evidence is not due process, is not following the law,
and therefore, company.
Even if it would prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you have committed a crime, it is inadmissible and cannot be used against you. Yeah,
but like I said earlier today, that I think that they do all of this without, because I think Vybz Kartel is the first Jamaican artist who ever to go this far for freedom. Because there is so many Jamaican, artists, talented people that behind bars right now, rotting away slowly but surely. Like there is so many of them. Like every second, they get catch with gun, they get this, they got that. There is so many of them right now behind bars with Vybz Kartel. Some of them come out walk free, but by the end of the year, there's 5 more of them in there. You understand? So, but Vybz Kartel is there is one of them called Zebra. I remember when I was a kid, I used to hear about Zebra.
Yeah. An artist.
And that, he's a Jamaican artist. And that man is in prison since I was a boy. And he come out at one point, I think, about maybe 2026 or 2025.
Yeah.
2006 or 2005, I don't remember. But he go back in, and that man is locked away. I don't even know what that man looked like. That man is locked away for so long.
Okay.
Only thing we know is the name. And there is a lot more of them. But Vybz Kartel is the first one that ever go this far for justice. Or, to
appeal
prove I'm not guilty.
But again, that's not what they're trying to prove in this appeal.
No, of course, whether he get a fair trial or not.
But it's a really important distinction to make.
Yeah.
Because the more people talk about this trial like it's a retrial, the more people are missing the point of what this actually is.
Yeah, but this trial can also let him walk free.
It could overturn. It could. Yeah. Of course, if they find that the original trial was in enough breach of due process, then the verdict that was reached at the end of that trial can't.
This is Vybz Kartel saying.
Can't be, because if the trial turns out to be not a good trial and in fact should have been a mistrial, then any verdict that was reached during that trial in 2014
dismissed.
Well, yeah, because then the trial has been dismissed as not a valid trial, a mistrial.
But
But you have to, when you appeal a case, you have to have grounds. You have to be able to say, right? You can't just say it's not fair. I didn't do it. I mean, you could, but you have to actually find something. What they found.
One of the reasons why I believe that Vybz Kartel will walk free from this is because they were so eager to lock him away.
Yeah,
they never do it the correct way.
But this is not the first appeal that he's had.
No, of course not the first one, but the first one to the prison council.
Well, yeah, because you have to go up. You go up the ranks.
That's what I said. That Vybz Kartel is the only Jamaican artist that ever go this far.
Yeah.
You understand? I believe.
Well, they obviously, the appellants believe, and their lawyers crucially believe that they have a strong case, strong enough case to run it up the ladder.
And listening to the...
And it was taken on as a case. So somebody else also believes that, in fact, this is valid. These are valid enough questions, valid enough issues.
And that is my
that
lord.
In fact, we need to have this trial
my
to
lord.
see.
I was listening to the case today and they would be like, my lord, my lord. You know, it's no your honor. It's my lord. And I
it's in the UK, yeah.
Yeah, so, but they take on a case like this. Yeah, if it was bullshit, they would have just like, we don't have time. This is, you know, throw it up. You know, we don't have time for this. But they take the time out.
But again, it's very, it's not, the court is not run on feelings.
No, but if they look through the case and they're like, there is no case here, they're going to like throw it out immediately.
And that's why it's important to understand, especially I think for lay people who have conversations about it, if you want to be able to have the correct conversations, right, with the correct information, this is not a retrial of a murder case. This trial is not a murder trial. And it's really important to remember that, because this trial is about a miscarriage of justice, which, fun fact, in Norway, the term miscarriage of justice is directly translated as a justice murder. The murder of justice. That's what we call it in Norway.
Explain that to me. What that means.
So in Norway, we have a word called justismord. And that is the Norwegian word for the miscarriage of justice. We in Norway, when something like they're trying to claim has happened, like somebody innocent is put in prison, right, for a crime that they did not commit, and then it is discovered later. In English, we call that a miscarriage of justice. That's the legal term. In Norway, the legal term is et justismord. Justismord, and that means a justice murder. But when you directly translate it, otherwise it means the murder of justice. In Norway, we refer to the miscarriage of justice not like a miscarriage, but like literally justice has been murdered. I've always really preferred the Norwegian term because it sounds as bad as it is. When a true miscarriage of justice has happened, it's incredibly bad. There are people who have lost decades of their lives.
Hey, let me show you. I see a man just walk free or roll away in a wheelchair free after spending 48 years behind bars for a crime that he did not commit.
You know the worst miscarriage of justice in Europe happened in Norway.
Jesus Christ!
It was a man.
Tell me about it.
It was a man.
Please say it was a white guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Feel a little bit.
Who?
No, I feel.
But he was. Worried. I have to say he. So in Norway after the Second World War, there were a lot of children here who were born to Norwegian mothers, but with German
dad
fathers, soldiers who had been stationed here. No,
I'm
not.
That's Hitler granddaughter.
No. No, I don't have. We don't. But in fact, those children were and their mothers were fairly mistreated and disliked by society, and honestly second-rate citizens. Now, this man was such a person, was such a child, probably didn't have the happiest of childhoods. He was also had some learning disabilities, and he was, I believe, partially deaf, and he had some physical disabilities. He actually spent a lot of his time living in group homes with some form of care. He was high functioning, but he was he had some issues. He was convicted of double homicide for the murder of two separate murders, right? So basically as a serial killer of two women. And he was imprisoned for those murders after long investigation and lots of things, and spent time in jail. Many years, and he struggled heavily in jail. And there was a totally unrelated person to him who confessed to at least one of these murders on his deathbed. What happened is they had to have another appeal, a case just like this.
Mm.
He had one of the murder convictions overturned while he was alive, and the second one was also overturned, but sadly after he himself had passed away. It is the worst miscarriage of justice in terms of, I mean, yeah, because this was a double homicide, and also the way in which it was conducted, and truly how much people believe that they were after him because he was of this German descent, and that was frowned upon in his age group. This is not my generation. This is generations before me. I learned about it in a podcast that I listened to by the Norwegian Broadcasting Service a few years ago, and I had never heard about it, which was shocking and a little bit embarrassing. But I know about it now.
Embarrassing.
But they call that and in cases like that, this man truly lost years of his life and terrible, terrible things. I'm like, listen, honestly, miscarriage of justice. I know that's a term we use in English. In Norwegian, we use the term justice murder, the murder of this man's justice, and I just feel like it fits better.
Well, that man died before he could ever even live to come out and say I didn't do it. But just look at Jamaica, right? Because there's so many innocent men in Jamaica right now for crime that they have no idea who commit that crime. Jamaica, I think Jamaica is one of the country that there is so many the justice system abuse the power, and not only the justice system, but even the authorities like the police and whatever.
Yeah,
there is so many innocent people, and one thing I would like to tell the youths of Jamaica, especially, crime and violence is everywhere, but the youths in Jamaica, think about this case, Vybz Kartel case. If Vybz Kartel was or still is one of the most influential, one of the most powerful figure in dancehall in Jamaica, because he is. A lot of people look up to this man. I've been looking up to Vybz Kartel since I was a toddler, saying Vybz Kartel, and if they can do this to him, just think for a second that Vybz Kartel is innocent, right? We're not gonna sentence him. Just think for a second that he's innocent. Look where he's at right now, because the kind of proof and the evidence that they have, we see why it's at the head court right now, because it's bullshit. It's bullshit. There's a lot of abuse in this case, and this case is not the only one. The only reason why this case reached so far in Stavanger, Norway, right now, we are sitting talking about this, is because it's Vybz Kartel. Right. But there is hundreds of other youth that nobody know about.
Well, of course that's the case. Listen, there are, but look, that's actually going to be the case with any kind of court case. The ones that are celebrities or people that we know the name of, we're always going to be more interested in them. You're not, if it was your neighbor, you never spoke to, you might never know. That's just the reality of life. Like, we have to accept that. Yes, if these people were not the people that they are, if they were quote unquote nobodies in society, you really wouldn't care. Although sometimes a case like this, when you find out, like I said, this case in Norway with this guy, like, he was not a well-known person, right?
No,
but
he made history. Well,
now not all, but certainly many of us learn about him. I mean, they make podcasts.
I just learned about him, and guess what? Yeah. If this video go viral, do you know how many people just learn about him?
Lots of people in Norway do know about him.
He make history.
And like I said, like, the statistic that it's the worst miscarriage of justice in Europe, that's not a light thing, and I didn't say that first.
Yeah.
So it's just a thing. And look, like, I watched the Netflix series Making a Murderer. Which I highly recommend, by the way. It's fantastic documentary making.
Where they shoot it in Jamaica?
No,
Because
that's actually
that's where you make murderer.
Yeah.
That's where they make murderer.
Well, okay,
in Jamaica.
Let me say what it is first. So no, it's a Netflix series now. It's about a man who lived in Wisconsin in America, who was incorrectly jailed for the rape of a woman. For like 20 years he was in jail, and then that verdict was overturned. Right? He had. Right, he had an appeal, and actually they found out who really committed the crime, and it wasn't him. He was released. He was paid reparations by the government, and then after a couple of years, he was accused of murder, and he was in. I mean, if you don't know, it won't ruin it for you. Just watch it anyway. But he did go back to jail. It's incredibly captivating. Because what happened was that there were these two women who wanted to make a documentary about him when he was released from jail. And while they were there filming, he was accused of this murder. No. And so they stayed on and they documented as much as they could. And the thing is, we don't really know. It's really hard to know, but it seems like it's the sort of thing where...
Hold on, do that voice again.
What?
We don't really know.
Stop it.
It's really hard to know.
Okay, so anyway, but my point is, look, miscarriages of justice do happen. It's why we try to set up a legal system to avoid it, and where if it happens, you have the possibility for an appeal. Because how easy would it be to say, listen, if you've been convicted of a crime, that's it. Yeah. You can. I mean, yeah, you can't imagine a world where that's the legal system. But this is in fact a legal system where, yes, he can appeal if he has good grounds. He has these grounds. These seem like strong grounds. They're certainly strong enough to now lead to this trial, which happened yesterday and today. And just before I forget, I wanted to say that if you want access to what's already been recorded live and saved of the court proceedings, you can find it on jcpc.uk. That's jcpc.uk, and the case number is
2022.
Yep.
0049.
Yeah. So 2022/0049 is the case number.
Oh yeah, there's a slash there too. Oh,
yes.
There, I see it.
So and that's where it has just the briefest of information, the most important information about the original case, and then also this appeals case. And then down the bottom, there's links to the morning and afternoon sessions of the trial. You can watch them. You can just watch them. And that would be pretty good information too.
Yeah, but youths, I beg you, please, we talk to now in some real Jamaican part one now, because we don't need to understand, you know. You understand? If them something can happen to Vybz Kartel, this can happen to anybody. You understand? Them something can happen to anybody. So look at, walk a straight line, but try to walk a straighter line, because everybody innocent. You understand? Everybody is innocent. No matter how, there's a thing in Jamaica where the one of the worst murderer, you have people who protect him and saying that he's innocent. A man who can just do away with a baby like that. Yeah. People protect him. You have things like that. Yeah. And most of those people walk free. You understand? And there's a lot of people in prison. Some of them end up dead. And everybody's saying that they're innocent. So it looked like we've been walking a straight line. So I'm just asking the youths to walk a straighter line. Because you never know what can happen in life. Anything happen anytime, anywhere. So try to walk a straight line, or a straighter line, since we already been walking a straight line and then we're still getting in bullshit. Try to walk a straighter one. We're gonna wrap up?
Yeah, probably good. I do really urge you though to check out information on the jcpc.uk and the links. And I mean, now we just have to sit tight and wait. There'll be some deliberation. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe the end of the month, or maybe next month.
We don't know, but I mean, it'll be on that website.
I'm quite sure it's gonna be everywhere, because I know so many Jamaicans are not. They're not gonna. take the eyes off this for a second.
Mm.
You know, and big up to SoFlo and him wife. SoFlo. SoFlo. Low. I can never say that name. True. Bless fire. But anyway, you know, because I watched the live stream and I there's so many vloggers talking about it. Some positive, some negative. But anyway, I would love to see Vybz Kartel free. I would love to see Vybz Kartel walk free. Yes, and cannot wait for that. Because that's gonna be some exciting moment. Anyway, people, big up on yourself, bless up on yourself. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Plus, I'm Martha Let's Talk and audio.
The audiobook channel Let's Listen and World of Live.
Let's listen and World of Live.
Yeah.
Give thanks, big up on yourself, bless up on yourself. Jarastafari is life. Every time.
Every time.
Give thanks. Yeah.